Hi everybody. Today's story will be The Teeny Tiny Monster. Teeny Tiny Monster lived in a tall tree with all the other tree monsters. The monsters could look right into Danielle's bedroom window from their cozy leafy home. All of the monsters loved to scare Danielle, except one, except Teeny Tiny Monster. One night, the tree monsters watched through the bedroom window as the little girl played with her collection of dolls. "Let's scare Danielle," suggested Crasher, the oldest monster. "After all, what kind of monsters are we if we don't scare anyone?" he asked. Teeny Tiny shrugged his small furry shoulders. "But I don't want to scare Danielle," he said softly. "I want to be your friend." Crasher wanted to be a real monster. He reached behind a cluster of leaves and pulled out his bag of horrors. Inside the shiny silver bag was a lightning bolt. Crasher pulled it out of the bag and threw it to the ground. The bolt flashed and crashed loudly. Crasher jumped up and down with glee. Boomer, the biggest monster, didn't want to be left out of the fun. He opened his mouth wide and roared. Danielle was so frightened by the loud noise that she ran from the window and jumped into her bed, pulling the covers completely over her head. "Come on, Teeny Tiny," bellowed Boomer. "Now it's your turn to scare her." "Yeah, Teeny Tiny," agreed Crasher. "Come on, throw down some lightning." But Teeny Tiny Monster just shook his head back and forth. "I don't want to scare Danielle," he said. "I want to be your friend." Boomer and Crasher tried all afternoon long to get Teeny Tiny to make a loud, scary noise. At last, Teeny Tiny gave in. "Okay, I'll do it," said Teeny Tiny, "but I'll only do it this one time." Teeny Tiny held his breath. He squeezed his eyes shut tightly. Then he wiggled his ears, opened his mouth to make a big roar. But there was no roar at all. Instead, a soft, silvery rain began to fall. Boomer and Crasher became very angry when the rain got their fur wet. "What kind of monster are you?" yelled Boomer. "You can't make lightning. You only make rain. You can't live with us if you don't scare Danielle." Teeny Tiny watched sadly as Crasher and Boomer climbed into their warm, leafy beds. Then he slowly climbed down from the tree and onto the windowsill outside of Danielle's room. Teeny Tiny Monster tapped on Danielle's window, hoping she would hear him. He tapped and tapped again until finally Danielle heard him and glanced his way. Her eyes grew wide. Teeny Tiny waited patiently for the little girl to let him in. This was his big chance to make friends with Danielle, and he wanted everything to be right. "Monster! Monster!" squealed Danielle when they saw Teeny Tiny outside her window. "There's a monster outside my window!" She dropped her toys on the floor and scurried from the room. "Wait! Stop!" cried Teeny Tiny. "I don't want to scare you. I want to be your friend." When Danielle returned to her bedroom a few minutes later, she rushed to the window. "Oh boy, she came back. Now she wants to be my friend," thought Teeny Tiny. Instead, Danielle shouted, "Go away, monster! Go away!" A big tear formed in Teeny Tiny's eyes. As the tear dropped onto the windowsill, Teeny Tiny said to himself, "Being a little monster isn't very easy. It just isn't very easy at all." Suddenly, the sky darkened. The air filled with thunder and lightning. The storm became louder and turned into a smashing, flashing, bashing racket. Teeny Tiny knew that Boomer and Crasher were up to their tricks again. Teeny Tiny looked up to the branches of the tree. He watched as Boomer and Crasher roared with laughter. When Danielle's face appeared in the window, Boomer and Crasher laughed even harder. Teeny Tiny knew what he had to do. He squeezed his eyes shut and he wiggled his ears. In no time at all, a comforting rain began to fall. Crasher's lightning and Boomer's thunder quietly disappeared behind Teeny Tiny's sparkling raindrops. "Gee," said Danielle, "I didn't know monsters could be so nice." She opened her bedroom window carefully to let Teeny Tiny inside. Teeny Tiny Monster blushed with happiness. "Boy," he thought, "Danielle is my friend at last." So let Teeny Tiny Monster be a lesson today. That if you're a teeny tiny monster, there's nothing that the power inside of you can't conquer, with a little bit of help from the man upstairs, of course. And if you're Danielle, don't judge a book by its cover. You never really know what you're going to get. You guys have a great day.